Yasoranandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanajari Yamuna Tira Vanajari Of the Shishimada's divine grace, founder of Iskana Bhai, Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki, their most merciful Lordship Shri Dwaraka Bihari Ki, Shri Jagannath, Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra Ki, Shri Mataji, Shri Balagopal Ki, Shri Varnitai Ki, Nitai Go Prem, Haribo, all glories to thee, Samad, Hare Krishna, all glories to thee, Samad, Hare Krishna. All glories to thee, Samad. Hare Krishna. All glories to the Lord, Spirit of Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam To Jayamudirayan Nasta Prajya Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text 11.
Yes, sir. 11.
Api Na Suridas
Suridas
Tata
tata
Apina Suridas Tata
tata
Bandava
Mandhava
Krishna
Krishna
Devata
Devata
Bandava Krishna Devata
Mandhava Krishna Devata
Drishta
Krishna
Shruta
Yuta
Va Yadava
Yadava
Drishta Shruta Va Yadava
Krishna Shrutava Yadava
Swa
Swa
Puryam
Puryam
Sukam
Kam
Asate
Asate
Swapuryam Sukam Asate
Swapuryam Sukam Asate
Apina Suridastata
Apina Surudastata
Apina Suridastata
Apina Surudastata
Bandava Krishna Devata
Mandhava Krishna Devata
Bandava Krishna Devata
Mandhava Krishna Devata
Drishta Shruta Vasyadava
Krishna Shrutava Yadava
Drishta Shruta Vayadava
Drishta Shrutava Yadava
Swapuryam Sukamasate
Swapuryam Sukam Asate
Swapuryam Sukamasate
Swapuryam Sukam Asate
Please,
Apina Surudastata
Apina Suridastata
Bandava Krishna Devata
Bandava Krishna Devata
Drishta Shrutava Yadava
Krishna Sutta Vayadava
Sapuryam Sukamasate
Swapuryam Sukamasate
Apina Suradastata
Apina Suridastata
Bandhava Krishna Devata
Bandava Krishna Devata
Drishta Shrutiva Yadava
Drishta Shruta Vayadava
Swapuryam Sukam Asate
Swapuryam Sukamasate Apina Suridastata Bandava Krishna Devata Drishta Shruta Vayadava Swapuryam Sukamasate Api
Happy
Weather
weather
Na
Na
Our
our
Surida
Surya
Well-wishers
well wishes
Tata
Tata
Oh my uncle
Oh my uncle
Bandava
Bandhava
Friends
friends
Krishna Devata
Krishna Devata
Those who are always wrapped in the service of Lord Sri Krishna
those who are always wrapped in the service of Sri Krishna
Drishta
Krishna
by seeing them
by seeing them
Shruta
Yuta
or by hearing about them
or by hearing about them
Va either
either
Yadava
Yadava
the descendants of Yadu
the descendants of Yadu
Swapuryam
Puryam
along with their residential place
along with their residential place
Sukamasate
Samasate
if they are all happy
they are all happy
Apina Suridastata Bandhava Krishna Devata Drishta Shruta Vayadava Swapuryam Sukamasate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace by Sharanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My uncle, you must have visited Dwaraka. In that holy place are our friends and well-wishers, the descendants of Yadu, who are always wrapped in the service of the Lord, Sri Krishna. You might have seen them or heard about them. Are they all living happily in their abodes? Please repeat. My uncle, you must have visited Dwaraka.
You must have visited Dwaraka.
In that holy place
That holy place
are our friends and well-wishers,
our friends and well-wishers,
the descendants of Yadu,
the descendants of Yadu,
who are always wrapped in the service
who are always wrapped in the service
of the Lord Sri Krishna.
the Lord Shri Krishna.
Lord Shri Krishna.
You might have seen them
You might have seen them
or heard about them.
or heard about them.
Are they all living happily in their abodes?
Are they all living happily in their abodes?
My uncle, you must have visited Dwaraka. In that holy place are our friends and well-wishers, the descendants of Yadu, who are always wrapped in the service of the Lord Shri Krishna. You might have seen them or heard about them. Are they all living happily in their abodes? Report. The particular word Krishna Devata means those who are always wrapped in the service of Lord Krishna is significant. The Yadavas and the Pandavas, who were always wrapped in the thought of the Lord Krishna and his different transcendental activities, were all pure devotees of the Lord, like Vidura. Vidura left home in order to devote himself completely to the service of the Lord. But the Pandavas and the Yadavas were always wrapped in the thought of Lord Krishna. Thus, there's no difference in their pure devotional qualities, either remaining at home or leaving home. The real qualification of a pure devotee is to become wrapped in the thought of Krishna favorably, that is, knowing well that Lord Krishna is the absolute personality of Godhead. Kamsa, Jarasandha, Shishupal, and other demons like them were also always wrapped in the thought of Lord Krishna, but they were absorbed in a different way, namely unfavorably, or thinking him to be a powerful man only. Therefore, Kamsa and Shishupal are not on the same level as pure devotees like Vidura, Pandavas, and the Yadavas. Maharaj Yudhisthira was also always wrapped in the thought of Lord Krishna and his associates at Dwaraka. Otherwise, he could not have asked all about them from Vidura. Maharaj Yudhisthira was therefore on the same level of devotion as Vidura, although engaged in the state affairs of the kingdom of the world. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshusunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So a significant difference is being made here in the state of the affairs of the kingdom and the relationship that they were having with Krishna and the relationship they're having with one another as friends. So this is evident also that, see, human beings, we see Krishna expanding himself, right, into different positions for different purposes. And then you can see even in the position of a human being, take, for example, that of the life of a judge. He may hold a position for his upkeep, you might say, for his existence, sitting in judgment of members of society, playing a particular role as the judge. So he is spoken to respectively by the position he's holding. Your Honor, he would be regarded as. And then when he comes home, he has children, and those children regard him as daddy. And so it's established by the relationship that they have with one another, the communication that they are giving to each other. And so that relationship that the children are having with their father is considered to be on a level of love. Isn't it? More so than that he would be exhibiting in the form of the judge. The judge is giving justice, and he is the establisher of the laws of the land so that the people can be safely protected from one another. So we see this as that being taken part of as human beings, serving different roles in each position, then when the husband is relating to his wife, now they share a different level of love than the children are sharing with the parent. So these are all different relationships. And similarly, the soul is also having, by its application, by the soul's application of the teachings of Krishna, then we take on different relationships to Krishna. Arjuna on the battlefield was having several relationships at the same time. So their familial relationship as cousins was there. Then their fellow combatants as being in the same army with one another, taking on a military role. And then they also had that relationship before the battle as friends, as dear friends. So there's familial relationship there, which is on one level, which is the higher than that which would be considered the role Krishna was playing on the battlefield with Arjuna as combatants. Still, that is friendship taken to a higher level. When you're on the battlefield, at every moment looking out for your fellow man and those you're working with, that level of surrender and commitment to one another is very high, which is why these kind of chivalrous activities that human beings are engaged in are looked at as very high on the level of achievement of human progress. The highest of all, being brought out as well in this, is our relationship to Krishna. And so the more we fill our day with thoughts about Krishna, with words spoken in conversation about activities that Krishna has engaged in, the more then we are going to be experiencing that kind of relationship we put ourselves into by that conversation. And every moment and every person we're coming in contact with through the day is giving us that opportunity to do that in some way, to be someone to be remembered by them. This morning we had a group come here to fix the toilets in the ladies' room. And so guy needed a signature, so I offered to give him my signature, but I couldn't go look at the toilets. I have to trust in their word.
Okay.
So first thing I've ever seen this person in my life, now I'm having to put my trust that he did the job properly. But then go outside to make certain that, because he had to take these tools out and he had to make certain that he had the door wide enough and he got locked out of the place where he brought the machine in. So I'm going outside to check and make sure that he got everything all right. So as I walk, he's just about to drive out of the driveway, and I walk right up next to his driver's side window, and he nearly leaped out of his skin because he wasn't expecting anyone to be there. As he turned to look and saw me standing there immediately. So he's going to be coming back probably. But see, we leave an impression on people. When I scared him half out of his skin, I told him, I said, well, next time you get scared, it won't be so bad.
Okay.
But relationships we can be developing and establishing in our lives is a very significant, important aspect of our own development as human beings as well. There's a statement in the Bible that says you should entertain guests often. And it continues to say, for thereby many in past times have entertained angels unknowingly. So we have had experience of Srila Prabhupada pointing out that Narad Muni, watching Srila Prabhupada's movement in the early stages of development, had been in the company of devotees when they were going out chanting. And so they were giving audience, or they were given audience by Narad Muni without their even knowing it. And so many times these souls that we see, and we see explicitly explained in Bhagavatam, out in the wild where no one is thinking there to be any advanced civilization. Of course, we see that as limited to human beings, but there's a fight going on between Gajendra, the elephant, and this crocodile described in Bhagavatam, both of whom were previously demigods. These are wild creatures out in the middle of the forest, nowhere, that are doing no good for any form of human beings out there. And yet, through Gajendra's previous remembrance of Krishna, he took a flower in his trunk and he offered it to the Supreme Lord as his alligator is chewing his leg off, pulling him into the water, which is basically home for the alligator. Yeah. And Gajendra cries out to Krishna. And Krishna hears him in that form of an elephant, and then returns him into that previous state that he was in. Now,
as a demigod?
As a demigod.
Okay.
See, we might see these stories because they happened so long ago as incidents that are not exactly applicable to our present day experience. But if we see like that, just like it's brought out, by the consciousness that we look at Krishna from, perspective we look at Krishna from, that we get the experience of the relationship that we're creating with Krishna at the time. So the more we are enlightened by these transcendental stories about Krishna, the more dear Krishna becomes to us. And in that way, our love for Krishna is increasing day by day. When we see the effects of following the instruction and the viewpoint that Krishna gives us to be able to communicate with other people, not in a judgmental way, but in a way to be able to respect the fact that if I had gone through every experience these people had gone through in their journey here in this world, I would be thinking and acting the same way they are. Now it's up to me, because I have come in contact by the mercy, causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality. Now I have the absolute truth that is the greatest treasure human life has to offer. And in that knowledge of the truth is that which the consciousness of the human being can contain with it at every moment, knowing that the Supreme Person and his consciousness and his way of thinking is available to us, which we call Krishna consciousness. And we develop that way of thinking by learning the process of controlling the mind. And that process of controlling the mind is explained by Krishna in his form as Lord Chaitanya. Now, if we see that the taking of these different roles that human beings have with one another in exchange for relationships, then we can look at Lord Chaitanya's position that he's taking as a servant to all of humanity, to bring humanity as this golden avatar, this bhakti that Lord Chaitanya is bringing on a golden platter of his life. He is the golden avatar for the age, and he brings to us the most perfect form of bhakti by revealing that this chanting is the means of us to be able to perfect the mind's ability to concentrate in this mood of devotion, fulfilling that request of Krishna when he says in the Bhagavad Gita, if you offer to me with loving devotion, and that which you offer to him of your mouth, of your mind, of your consciousness, your thoughts, giving that over to the control of Krishna, then when you take up this chanting, you're opening up your mind for Krishna to be able to share with you those innermost thoughts that he is having from your chanting. And then you getting to the experience of that, the relief that that provides. By listening to the sound vibration of God's name, you're conditioning yourself to a new way of thinking in opening up your consciousness to that which Krishna wants to fill your mind with. That Vaikuntha consciousness, without anxiety, knowing that you are sharing your body with the one who is in control of everything and has the ability through us to manifest that will that he has for us to be able to carry out our lives in such a way that they leave transcendence, effective transcendence, as the energy that guided these lives that have surrendered themselves to Krishna. Now they are removed from the material energy of the world. And no longer are they controlled living entities. So when we think of that which Krishna is giving to humankind, we should see it as like a key that unlocks the chains that bound us in an endless cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease to all the elements of this material world that we have attached ourselves to. Lord Chaitanya, by the giving of this powerful, most powerful, all-powerful mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Then it helps us to, by simply adhering to the teaching which Lord Chaitanya says to do, by adhering to the teaching itself, is itself removing us from the power of the material energy. But then the act itself that we engage in that chanting gives us the ability to gain control over the mind when we do so in the mood, Krishna, I am your servant. Please engage me in your loving devotional service. And this by permission. You're giving Krishna permission, giving God permission to do this to you. Transform my mind. Let me know what spiritual thought is. And then it goes beyond the mind, because the soul itself is creating consciousness. And then when the consciousness becomes of a spiritual nature, then it's no longer subjected to the things that it would otherwise be exposed to in this material world in the same way, for us to be affected in the same way that these things would affect us. For example, Raj Kumar, something serious happened to his car, it broke down or something. And rather than complaining about it, he was expressing relief that old piece of junk is going to be finished. Now he's going to get another one.
You can.
So, see, by enabling ourselves to be put by Krishna into the position we then thereafter enjoy as the function of human being that we were born into this world to perform, then it gives us a new outlook towards life because Krishna's in control of everything. We can't keep our responsibilities to Krishna without the ability that he gives us to do that. And that's what also this chanting, again, reverts to, is the development of the mood, the development of the mentality or the perception we hold in our minds about what we are doing, why we're doing it, who we're doing it for. Its purpose also. And so by that the mind then gets from Krishna the realization. And then when we read these transcendental literatures revealing to us the effects that engagement in these activities will produce, automatically it becomes a sublime experience. It's kind of like reading, a health book. You read a health book, and it tells you of all these things you do for well-being and health, and then you've done all that. So now it gives you an appreciation for your having done that. And as appreciation for Krishna increases, it's an experience of love. And it's love from the source of love. So that everyday activity that we engage in, is some people use reading, find out the newspapers, events, which are, the names are changing, the events are staying the same. It's a war, it's an automobile accident, it's a fire at this house, it's a fight breaking out in this family. All these, it's the world of names, Bhagavatam describes it as. And the names of people are changing, the activities are all the same. They're all reactions of karma. So now we, having become freed from that because of the deliverance, the power the holy names has to deliver us from that, we can bring those who are bound by the limitations of the news. They hear these things every day as though it were nectar to their ears. Who? The people who are reading, the subscribers to these newspapers.
Oh, okay, right.
Magazines and articles about the newest fashion,
Right.
the latest real estate that's for sale to the tempting of your senses to be gratified in this world. All these things that people are exposing their minds to and considering to be the means for them to be able to develop a status within society that can be looked at as better than somebody else, better than the lower peons. This is how people's minds are working, who have developed all these classes that they see themselves existing within in society, lower, middle, and upper class. And as Srila Prabhupada brings out, in every society there are 4 distinct sections of society for the society to function. The administrative class, the working, hard-working class that do all the work and labor. Then you have the mercantile class, which is involved for the most part in the production of goods and the sale of goods and these things like that, which a good amount of the population are engaged in. But that portion of society that is missing which is what ISKCON, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, was established for the purpose of creating the Brahminical class who are receiving direct knowledge from the Supreme Person who they're sharing the body with. And they can give guidance to society in such a way for crime to be brought down to nil. All those people not finding themselves. See, right now we are weakened by our own inability to realize the effective means we have in ISKCON to pull the lowest dregs of society, those human beings that have given up on life, those human beings that have fallen into drunkenness, alcoholism, all these other things, addictions. We have the tools to transform the lives and consciousness of anyone we come in contact with. It's the power of Krishna's name. And by realizing that and praying with love to be able to bring these truths to those fallen members of society, we can be the solution for all of those who are suffering. Because that suffering that the millionaire is having in his mind on how to protect his money, he's afraid at every moment somebody's going to take his money away. They live in fear, some of them. It's what insurance is for, to protect you from dying. You're not going to die. You're having life insurance. You're paying that to live, right? So that at the end of death you don't owe anybody anything. We'll see if Yamaraj has a visit to pay you. When Yamaraj comes knocking, there's no payment that will give him the debt owed. Every day if we are not serving Krishna, if we are not taking into these bodies that which is spiritual, then we're going to be suffering the results of that which is material. And it should be easy to understand, and when it's explained like this, it seems easy. But then when it means people have to restrain and train and guide the senses of the physical body by the control that they take over it. Not the tongue tells you what to eat. You tell the tongue what you're going to eat. But you do that based on knowledge. People who are not given over to realize the significant importance this eating of food, which is actually honoring the mercy of God, this act that we do, taking in energy from God's external energy, offering it to God for Him to transform it back into His spiritual energy. He's doing the same thing to us. We live our lives for ourselves, and we live for material objects. And we get the result of that work in the form of material objects. Now, when we surrender to God, we turn everything over to God that we once believed was for our pleasure, and now we give it back to God from whom it came, and then He returns it into the form that we came from. The mystical recycling of the soul. Soul gets thrown into the trash of the material existence, gets pulled out of the trash and made new again, returned to its original state. Then once the soul comes to know its freshness, that it is, and every thought can be a new thought that has never been experienced before. That's what these teachings are to us. See, when you read a book that you've never read before, of course, you're going to get thoughts put into your mind that are brand new thoughts.
Never before, never after.
So what to speak then when you're putting thoughts and consciousness into your mind that is of an eternal nature, having to do solely with things that are completely removed from this world. I was thinking about Dwaraka this morning. See, right now, presently, technology has been created to develop the means of knowing if you take an instrument that has a sensor on it and you put it in a car and you drive the car 100 miles away and you have a receiver that is able to give that signal and receive that signal, you can know exactly where that item is, right? Call that GPS, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. This is our GPS. Krishna knows exactly where you are when you're chanting that. Also, we chant Gayatri 3 times a day. It is a GPS for the mind to know where it is in the universe. Now, if you let's say you're in trouble and you call somebody to come and get you, they got to know where you are. Otherwise, it's in the dark. You're going to find someone if they don't have any means of being able to tell you the address or something. So this GPS, Krishna is revealing to us how important this chanting is. He needs that to pick us up. He's coming to get us. And we got to tell him where we are. And it is the chanting that does that. And the more we chant, the more the realization of the connection we have with Krishna then becomes to our mind, to our consciousness. And the easier it is as well to continue in the development of that mood. Krishna, please, I am ever surrendered to your lotus feet. I have no means of my own. I'm not turning the world, you are. Lord Chaitanya, when he was on this planet, very few realized, in comparison to how many people there were on the planet at the time, he's the one whose power it is that is causing the world to go around the sun. When you're chanting Gayatri, you're realizing that. You're worshiping him. When we worship Lord Chaitanya, when we chant Gayatri mantra, we are worshiping him in that form as the one who is causing the movements of all the planets in the universe, not just the earth. And then we see him sitting on that throne that is the position in the universe controlling the whole universe. It's a golden throne. Bhaktivinoda was given the blessing of being able to see Lord Chaitanya, the golden avatar of this very age that we are living in, giving to us the very most advanced spiritual knowledge to be able to apply to our lives. The handbook of human life, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, to live our lives to the fullest and experience life and love that life is meant to experience, coming directly from the source of everything there is. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Yes.
My prayer for you is that your every prayer will be answered above and beyond your greatest expectations. Every class I've ever given, I've prayed that Krishna might use it and that the sound vibration created through the communication of perceptions created by the words I've vibrated may have some meaningful effect in someone's life, to give them a viewpoint that may be a little bit better than the way we're used to looking at things. Not because it is coming from me, but because I'm getting it from the source, that it's giving it out for everybody to experience. Bhagavatam is for everyone. Love is for everyone. Krishna wants everyone to have his love. And then we have to persuade them and give it to them in the form that we have the capability of being able to transfer it. But that's what ISKCON makes much easier for us to do. I would have no platform of my own to speak about any kind of book I'd ever read without the institution of ISKCON that Srila Prabhupada has established. It would be no means for me to be qualified to give any kind of a class about any spirituality whatsoever. And still, I acknowledge it's not my knowledge. It's coming from the revelation that Krishna himself is giving to all of humanity in these spiritual books. And anyone born in the darkness of ignorance can by choice make the determination that they're going to find out who God is, what God wants from them, and then do it. Just do it.
Just do it right.
Do it right. Do it right.
So I'm seeing.
Yeah. Are there any comments, any questions, any realizations anyone would like to share?
Very nice class.
John,
Nice.
as
always.
all glories to your servant.
Thank you, Paul.
Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai.
Isn't Ekadashi coming?